So moving on to the Yankees. The Yankees got a lot of stuff to change. I think they're
It's a
they're
lot.
contending. They just I think they kind of stumbled into the playoffs last year. They had a strange season, like we talked about. They were hot, then they weren't hot.
Yeah, it was
Um,
messy.
so I mean, I think it's obvious that they need a shortstop, obviously, because there's no one at short right now. We could put Urshela at short, but that's not going to happen. So we have already been in talks with Seager's agent and Correa's agent. I think that Seager is a better fit because he's left-handed. I think we talked about this a little bit last week. Then he can move
Hmm.
over to third eventually when the two prospects move up. Um, man, as much as a lot of people are talking Correa to the Yankees, I don't see it. Not because I don't not because I think that the players that were a part of the team that when the Astros beat us in 17, like
Yeah,
Judge, like Gary, Gardner if he comes back, they're not just gonna be able to give him a high five and be like, hey, let's go win. There's a lot of emotions there. I really just don't see a world where Aaron Judge and Carlos Correa are on the same team. Because
I don't either. I was talking to my friend about this the other day. Where is the line between your morals and you want to win? Because at one point is let's say his price lowers. Does Cashman eventually start being maybe he's a good fit? I agree. I don't see it. I just I think it's interesting.
So the thing with me is that I think that if they're very close to signing Correa, if you're Cashman, you have to ask Judge and you have to ask Gary and you have to ask the guys that were on the team when it happened because
yeah.
if you just do this without mentioning it to your team, that could fucking ruin the entire clubhouse.
Mm.
So I think that's interesting. Also, kind of off the free agent thing, our top priority this offseason is signing Aaron Judge. There's no question about that. He's a free agent after the season.
Right.
He has to be locked up. I hope that
Yeah.
Cashman is thinking the same thing because if not, you might as well trade him and get a shit ton of prospects right now. Because if you're not going to sign Aaron Judge, what are you going to do? Give him the qualifying offer? He's not going to take a qualifying offer. You have to sign him now. You don't want the Freddie Freeman situation. You know what I mean? You don't
Yeah.
want that. And if I'm them, man, I would even go out there and sign Judge before the CBA stuff even happens. That way you don't have to think about it and you have him. And while you're at it, name him the new captain because he should be the new captain. He's the closest we've had to it since Jeter. So
Yeah, I don't know if they're thinking about it as far as the re-signing. I have not really heard much. But maybe that's something they keep on the down low. So I don't know.
yeah. But moving back over to short though, honestly, man, I like Seager. I think the best fit though is Trevor Story. And there's a few reasons for this. Obviously, we talked about it last week. He's has speed, and that is a thing that the Yankees don't have any of. So
Yeah.
that would be helpful. Plus, Story is probably the best defender out of all of them. Maybe Correa has a better arm, but I think Story has the most range.
Hmm.
Um, and again, if his offensive numbers aren't the same power wise out of Colorado, like we don't really need another big power hitter anyway. We
No,
have
there's
all
plenty
the
of
other
those
guys.
guys.
If he could be more like DJ LeMahieu and we can have Story and LeMahieu more like base hit guys going to the porch out there, I think that would be great. Because it came out too that LeMahieu was battling an oblique injury or a core injury the entire season, which
Huh.
explains why he didn't play good. I think
Yeah.
he did have surgery about a couple weeks ago. I think he's going to be back this year. But I think having LeMahieu and then Story at the top of the lineup would be great because of the speed combo. Or Marcus Simeon could be another option for us, but he is older, and I don't think the Yankees want to be strapped with another contract with a guy who's a little bit older. But I think Simeon would fit good. I also think we need a left-handed first baseman because why would you go out and get a right-handed first baseman if you have Luke Voigt, who's probably going to have a great season? So only if he's
Yeah.
left-handed, I would go out and get somebody. Matt Olson is a name that has been thrown out there. Obviously, it looks like the A's are going to be selling everybody off. So I think Olson would be a great fit. Can you imagine? Dude, he hits 40 homers a year in Oakland. If he's at Yankee Stadium, this dude would be
Oh
hitting
yeah.
60 homers.
I can
So
picture them getting him for a little bit cheaper
he
deal.
looks like a
Yeah.
Yankee. You know what I mean? No facial hair usually.
True.
He just
Yeah.
looks like a Yankee. But you know who else, man? I think he's going back to the Braves, but Freddie Freeman would fit.
Oh
great
my
with
God,
the
they're not getting Freddie
Braves.
Freeman.
Dude, I mean, he would fit so well in our lineup, though.
No, he
I don't
absolutely
think
would.
he would fit so well in everybody's lineup, though, and I don't think he's
Right,
going
right.
anywhere. So I don't think he's going anywhere. But Anthony Rizzo too, obviously. He was a great fit when he was with us for like those 2 months, 3 months, whatever it was. I would rather have Olsen, I think, just because he's younger and he probably has more pop at this point in his career. But if Olsen gets traded somewhere else, I would go right to Rizzo, man. He fit great.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would necessarily mean trading Voit. I'm not sure what would happen there. Obviously, you have LeMahieu too. You would kind of have to move the infield around a little bit, but
Yeah.
I think if you have the opportunity to get Matt Olson, you have to get Matt Olson.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to me because the A's were so close this year. Like they bought at the deadline and then they just kind of fell apart. So they're going to be a totally different team next year.
Yeah. No idea what to expect.